Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. I hope everyone's having a good day, and if you are living or you are currently in the areas in Texas and in Louisiana that are currently being affected by Hurricane Harvey, I'm sending my love and support to you. I hope that everything works out because obviously this hurricane has been devastating. At least 5 people, as of now, the New York Times reported, have died as a result of this hurricane, and Houston, the 4th largest city in the country, unbelievably, has been completely flooded and just horrific destruction there. So sending as much love as I have in my heart to the people in Houston and the people in the areas that have been affected. The mainstream media obviously is covering Trump's response mostly, as opposed to the infrastructure that led to this kind of destruction, or that could make it worse, which is what I'm hoping to focus on. But yes, Trump did say good luck when walking out of Air Force One, which was not the best response, and has tweeted a bunch of things. Wow, now experts are calling Harvey a once-in-500-year flood. We have an all-out effort going, and going well. So weirdly bragging about the effort, and also just like in awe of the enormousness of Harvey as opposed to in absolute horror for the destruction that it is causing. Just a peek into his absurd mind. Many people are now saying this is the worst storm/hurricane that they have ever seen. Good news is that we have great talent on the ground. Okay. He also said that to Brock Long, his administrator at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, aka FEMA, he said, "You are doing a great job. The world is watching. Be safe." The world is watching? Why don't you care first and foremost about the people who are being affected? And yes, I know Houston is a red state, but it doesn't matter. Every life is important, and it's hard to see this horrific damage. And Houston has a lot of minorities in the city, and I will get to that later, about how the cultural and racial demographics of a city can affect how certain politicians respond to that city. So let's not forget that before this hurricane hit, Trump had proposed a lot of things that would make the response worse. So a lot of the budgetary and infrastructure safeguards that President Obama had put in place are still in effect. And so what he is proposing isn't directly affecting what's happening right now in Houston, so we can't put blame on anything that happens there that is unfortunate for Trump. I mean, the mainstream media and some liberal pundits might, and yes, his response in rhetoric has been ridiculous, but you know, the stuff that he's proposing will take a while to take place. That doesn't take away from the fact that what he is proposing is insane and draconian and right up a corporatist, deregulatory Republican's alley, and it will harm poor and minority communities, as I will get into now. So as climate change accelerates, we're going to need more and more of this protection, but because Trump is trying to undo anything that acknowledges climate change or that has President Obama's name on it, this is what we're going to be getting, apparently. Trump is promising that Brock Long, his director of FEMA, or Brock Long proposed cutting federal coverage for flood-prone homes. So that's his FEMA administrator. Then the administration itself has recommended slashing FEMA programs and grants that help cities and states prepare for natural disasters to the tune of $667 million. That includes cuts to the pre-disaster mitigation program, which provides funding states and cities to better withstand the impact of hurricanes and coastal storms. So this pre-disaster mitigation program is part of that massive cut to FEMA, $667 million. This is what Trump has proposed. There is no reason why he can't get those proposals through, except for maybe potential pressure after this horrific storm. Maybe that will work, but it's not like Trump is the kind of guy that responds to public pressure extremely well. Take the Charlottesville comments as you will. That's a great example of how this strange and dangerous man responds to that kind of public pressure. Additionally, On August 15th, which was the same day as his alt-left speech, Trump and his team overturned an Obama administration rule requiring that infrastructure projects, including roads and bridges, be designed to withstand the consequences of climate change, such as rising sea levels. President Obama signed that order in 2015, but it is yet to take effect. FEMA has been soliciting input and trying to get everything together, getting new rules in place, etc. So it has not yet taken effect, but Trump overturned that executive order before it could take effect. By the way, let's just say it now, Hillary and Trump would be the same on climate change. I heard that a little bit. Not the case. Trump is extremely draconian and does not believe in climate change at all. And of course, anything with Obama's name on it, the child wants to undo it. So Trump signed that executive order to improve what he calls the country's badly broken infrastructure, which he likened to what could be found in a third world country. The order calls for a $1 trillion revitalization package, though no legislation currently exists for this update. So yeah, great, $1 trillion in infrastructure. Progressives seem to like that, building things up. But the order is intended to eliminate and streamline some of the permitting regulations needed to construct federally funded roads, bridges, pipelines, and other infrastructure. Per the New York Times, Mr. Trump unveiled a head-to-toe length flow chart purporting to show the permitting regulations required to build a highway in a state he would not claim took 17 years. So he was cutting those regulations. And also, it continues, in order to shorten the completion time for this and other structures, Trump's order would reverse a number of regulations put in place during former President Barack Obama's time in office. This includes a rollback of the federal flood risk management standard, which was established by executive order in 2015. So that is what I mentioned before. It requires federal government to account for climate change as sea levels rise during building infrastructure. So essentially what he's done is, because he wants to streamline this process and essentially build faulty roads and bridges, he's going to overturn that executive order. Under Obama's regulation. Under Trump's executive order, the president aims to streamline blah, 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 blah. So less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Harvey hits, Trump proposes that. Or before, excuse me. So it's really unbelievable, because he is just the kind of guy that wants to just, again, cut. Why do I want to help these communities? It doesn't matter to me. They are not rich. They are not winners. They are not part of the elite circles that I run in. And it doesn't really matter to me. So, by the way, that infrastructure project has been proven to give companies and contractors and large corporations more cuts than it does help the American people. Remember also when Kanye West, by the way, says that George Bush doesn't care about black people about Hurricane Katrina? Well, it's relevant because oftentimes these regions that are most prone to flooding by the causes of global warming are heavily minority regions. So, as Color Lines, this article that I'm reading from, has previously reported, people of color account for approximately 26% of the population in the nation's coastal communities. So, that's a significant amount. A lot of Hispanic people in the South, a lot of African American people in Houston and obviously in Louisiana. So, Trump is a racist individual. Obviously, he cares a little bit less. He cares a little bit more about New York and all the wealthy places. Mar-a-Lago, God, if a hurricane hit Mar-a-Lago, you know that the National Guard would be there stat. And it's not, that's what it is, really. But because they're not in his winner circle, Trump doesn't care that much. Because it isn't this shining city on a hill of wealthy people just buying properties and at casinos and being winners, and they're just regular folks. He doesn't really care. And that's the scheme of Trump. He pretended like he cared about the regular worker, and a lot of people fell for it. But when it comes to protecting your homes, from being flooded, he doesn't really care. And isn't it especially ironic that Houston, and in a sad way, that Houston, which has been so friendly to oil and gas, is now experiencing this horrific hurricane? I mean, it's sad, and this is the kind of greed that the Trump administration is purporting to be American. It's not American. It's destroying America. Look at those pictures. These cuts, this climate change deregulation, this denial of climate change, it's hurting America, and you can see it in these images. So, again, Trump, proposed this before Hurricane Harvey. We will see if he changed his tune at all, but I wouldn't hold out hope for it, because this is the kind of guy that's leading our country right now. All right, thanks, guys.